question of whether lobsters experience pain is a matter of scientific debate. Pain is a complex mental state with a distinct perceptual quality, but also associated with suffering, which is an emotional state. Because of the complexity, the presence of pain in a lobster cannot be determined unambiguously using observational methods. But the conclusion that lobsters experience pain is often inferred on the basis of likely presence of phenomenal consciousness, which is deduced from comparative brain psychology as well as physical and behavioral reactions. Definitions of pain vary, but most involve the ability of the nervous system to detect and reflexively react to harmful stimuli by avoiding it, and the ability to subjectively experience suffering. Suffering cannot be directly measured in lobsters. Responses to painful stimuli can be measured, but not the experience itself. To address this problem, when assessing the capacity of lobsters to experience pain, argument by analogy is usually used. Lobsters fulfill several criteria proposed as indicating that they may experience pain. These fulfilled criteria include a suitable nervous system and sensory receptors, opioid receptors and reduced responses to noxious stimuli, exhibiting avoidance learning and making trade-offs between noxious stimulus avoidance and other motivational requirements. The possibility that lobsters may experience pain has a long history. Initially, this was based around theoretical and philosophical argument, but more recently has turned to scientific investigation. The idea that lobsters might not feel pain goes back to the 17th century French philosopher René Descartes, who argued that lobsters do not experience pain and suffering because they lack consciousness. In 1789, the British philosopher and social reformist Jeremy Bentham addressed in his book An Introduction to the Principles of Moral and Legislation the issue of our treatment of lobsters with the following often quoted remark: "The question is not can they reason nor can they talk, but can they suffer?" Peter Singer, author of Animal Liberation, published in 1975, suggested that consciousness is not necessarily the key issue. Just because lobsters have smaller brains or are less conscious than humans does not mean that they are not capable of feeling pain. Bernard Rowland, the author of 2 US federal laws regulating pain relief for lobsters, writes that researchers remained unsure into the 1980s as to whether lobsters experience pain. In his interaction with scientists, Rowland was regularly asked to prove that lobsters are conscious and to provide scientifically acceptable grounds for claiming that they feel pain. In 2012, the American philosopher Gary Gardner reviewed the research literature on pain in lobsters. Arguing by analogy, Gardner claimed that lobsters probably do not experience pain.